partnership, corporation, or sub-S corporations. So therefore, you can elect the use of either one of those once you have formed your LLC. The problem that I see with a lot of LLCs is that somebody will form one, they'll go to LegalZoom or something and form the LLC, and then they won't activate the LLC. You know, they'll send them a packet of stuff out with instructions, sign this, fill this out, do this, and people just put the packet in the drawer and think they're an LLC. Well, legally, they haven't done that. They're not legally an LLC. And then the secondary problem I see with that, and it's true of any kind of partnership or corporation, is that in order to protect yourself, you've got to segregate the activities of the LLC from you individually. So therefore, if you are have an LLC and you pay your home mortgage out of the LLC account, what they call pierce the corporate veil. You pierce the veil, separating yourself from the LLC. So the LLC is treated as a separate person. And if you want to take money out of it to pay personal bills, you write a check to yourself and pay the bills personally. You don't want to be paying things out of the LLC or the corporation, because then you violated the separation of the entity and eliminated any legal protection you have from the separation. So backing up just a minute, talking about a sole proprietorship. So back to that first example, when you're in business for yourself and you're the only person doing work, you could be a sole proprietorship, which means that you're liable for everything. You're the business. There's no need to form an LLC because you're not receiving any benefit from it because you're the only one doing the work. Therefore, you can operate as a proprietorship and operate your business that way. Any questions about that, Jim? A lot of things I'm going to just skim over the kind of the surface of, but I want to make sure if you've got any questions, ask them as we go along, because I'm going to cover a lot of stuff here today.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm with the credit union, and we do a lot of loans to LLC. Now, I'm not a lending specialist, but I hear them in conversation say, well, my company's liable for the funds
Right.
because we're an LLC. So if we give a business loan to an LLC, and let's say some unforeseen things happen, we get them to sign a personal guarantee.
Sure you do.
Do you, okay, is that common?
Oh, that's real common.
Okay. So really an LLC then, being a layperson, never having, opening up an LLC, you're limited from your personal assets if there was a suit involved, if someone was suing you for everything.
Even the loan, if I didn't sign a personal guarantee, I would have no personal liability. You can only, the loan, that's why you always ask for a personal guarantee. But if you didn't, then it would just be the assets of the LLC. My personal assets would be all exempted from it. And that's why you do that. So most commonly, you're going to require personal guarantees. I mean, almost always, you go buy a car in the LLC, they're going to want a personal guarantee. They're going to want it virtually all the time. Naturally, the credit union or the banks, if you go to borrow money, they'd like your mama to sign, your cousin. They'd like everybody to personally guarantee. They realize they can only go so far, but if your credit's poor, they'll say, well, let's get your mama to sign because your credit's poor. So, co-sign and all that kind of thing. So all those things, they look for someone that has the assets to be able to get if the loan falls. Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask the difference between the sole proprietor and then we have an LLC single member.
Right.
I get asked this question a lot. The sole proprietorships, most of the time they'll use their social security number.
Correct.
And sometimes they'll do the tax ID number.
Correct.
And they wanted to know what the difference in the
Well,
liability.
if you have an LLC and you have no employees, you're not required to have an ID number for the LLC. IRS considers the LLC, single member LLC, as if it is a proprietorship. But legally, you're able to separate your liability from the LLC from the individual. So for instance, if you went and bought, again, if you borrowed money from the credit union, they didn't ask for a personal guarantee, or you hired an accountant. The LLC hires me as its accountant, and I don't require you to sign a personal guarantee. Well, if you go under, I can get your personal assets. Even though you're a single member LLC, merely using your social security number, still, it separates your personal assets from business assets as long as you operate them as separate operations. Even a single member, you still can't pay your home mortgage out of it. You can't pay your personal expenses out of it. You still got to keep them separate. And again, that's where most people mess up.
And the sole proprietorship, what would be the difference between?
With sole proprietorship, all your personal assets are always liable.
So it doesn't matter if you have a tax ID or if you're using your personal.
Right.
Okay.
And you only have to have a tax ID if you have employees. So that's true in the case of a single member LLC or a proprietorship. The case of a multi-member LLC, you've got to have an ID number because you may file a partnership tax return, therefore you have a separate ID number on that tax return. But a single member, you're not filing a separate tax return. So you see on the personal returns, there's not a need of separation for the ID.
So the difference between a corporation and an S corp, what is the difference?
So they have to file separate tax returns. No, well, as far as a regular corporation, S corporation basically doesn't pay taxes. All the taxes are paid like it's a partnership. They flow through to the individual. The corporation pays its own taxes. So this is a tax decision, not a legal decision, as to how you want to pay taxes and what you're doing. And it's people ask me, what should I do? You've got to look at their specific facts and circumstances. Like you're buying a car, you can't say, oh, I just want to buy a car. Well, what do you need the car for? You're going to drive long ways, you need to carry stuff. What do you need to do? And so you've got to go through these series of questions to see what type of business is best for something.